What's up, guys? Odin here. I am sitting with ZenAku, and this is the inaugural version of the Quake Pro League Player Spotlight. ZenAku, thanks a lot for taking a moment to come chat. Appreciate it a lot.
I'm glad to be the first one on the spotlight, and yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk shit. I guess have a
Oh
bit of a say.
yeah,
So
got to get the virginity well broken right away.
I mean, just gotta get
So
right in
beep
there.
beep 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 beep. We just cut that part out. I'm kidding. So, dude, it's been the holidays. New Year's is over, Christmas is over, and Quake is kicking up again on Sunday. Do you know who you're playing? Anything you can say about that?
Well, I don't know how much I can say, but just my first match is against Dewey. I mean, it's on January 10th. Actually, pretty excited. I mean, I've been playing a lot on like the holidays, so ready for the new. Well, I'm ready for the new map, the whole map pool, and I feel like I've really expanded my champion list, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. So
Awesome. I mean, is it like you have been actually streaming quite a bit? Actually, most of the Quakers have been taking this time off, but I've seen you on Twitch quite often. So, I mean, what are you working on, or was just trying to keep things sharp?
um, maybe it was a combination of like mainly just keeping the mechanics up, but I had a feeling that my champion pool, as much as it was wide, I needed to be confident in other champions, like the light champions, and I mean it's kind of worked out nicely now with like the new spawns, like well, it's not really new now, but the spawn system and how they can really fit. And well, I mean, easiest way to do it is you're gonna play balls to the wall, and that's pretty much what I've been doing. And doesn't work out all the time, but it's definitely better than how I've been playing previously. So
That's yeah, I can understand that. I mean, you sort of have a reputation for being a hard man to kill. I mean, maybe you can go down a couple frags, but generally you don't go down too easily.
mm.
Must be the inner Australian just won't give up for just it's not over till it's over kind of mentality. But you're definitely known
Mm.
for that. So I'm pretty curious to see how the new maybe more aggressive style with lighter champs will fit in. Because you were doing a lot of the heavy champs in the previous seasons, like Scale and Awoken and stuff like that, where DG would be like, and ironically, you're the only one who won actually during the finals with a scale bearer pick. So there's that.
Mm. Okay, okay, nice, nice. Mm.
So looking forward to that, obviously. But got a couple of questions. May would like to learn actually a bit more about you, because I mean, if people may actually, a lot of people don't know because you get asked this all the time in your stream, like, are you in Australia? I mean, no, you're not. You're in Poland, but I mean, before any of that, though, I mean, what sparked your interest actually in the beginning, like, competitive gaming? I mean, what was there? Was there a moment where you saw a game and you're like, that's what I want to do, or
Mm.
you remember how that kind of happened?
Uh, yeah, actually, this one's quite funny, and I'm not sure. Uh, maybe it's built up from insecurity or something. But when I played Call of Duty 2, there was I was like 13 or something, and some guy in the server was like, uh, I don't know. He saw me playing every day, and he's just like, "You just won't be pro. You're never gonna be as good as these other guys." And I'm like, "Nah, cunt, fuck off. Like
Yeah,
I'm gonna find a way." Like, and I just really kind of built this mission of, are these people really so superhuman? Like, are they something that I can't get to a level at? So I don't know. It kind of actually stemmed from that, and then I don't know. I just really love to play. I love to compete. Love to win. I don't think anybody really likes to lose, to be honest. But yeah, and ever since then, like Quake has just kind of been something that has resonated with me the most. Like it's the most interesting out of all the games I've played. So I've just kind of stuck with it.
speaking of that, actually, did you try playing any games before Quake competitively?
Mm. Uh, I played well, not really professional level, but just like in competitions. I played, COD 2, Call of Duty 2,
Right.
COD 4, um, Starcraft 2. That's about it, I think.
How did you make? How? What? Why did you decide FPS title RTS? What was
uh,
what was that all about? Or you just was curious?
it was more like, you know, I just really wanted to make this professionalism a thing. And FPS games, like I didn't really like Counter Strike that much. Um, but Starcraft, like it's actually yeah. Um,
Approved.
uh, when with it's really interesting about with Australia is that we actually have really good connection to the Korean server, and for StarCraft 2, like you can actually practice against
Okay, that makes sense.
pretty good players, right? So you
Yeah,
can actually like push your level. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna actually make this a thing, well, I actually have to play a game that's gonna have some money behind it, or else I'm not gonna make it very far.
also
And
true.
yeah, so that's why I started to play it. But I'll be honest, like it was just the path. I was too young, and it was just like too tough, and I just like straight up wasn't good enough.
Yeah, StarCraft is
But
really one of those games where, I mean, the Koreans have pretty much just like squeezed every little bit of efficiency out of that game, and if you make one wrong keystroke, it could, especially in StarCraft 2. I mean, Brood War was there was still a bit more of a fight. You could like screw something up pretty epically, but still come back because it's so mechanically difficult to play. StarCraft 2 is like all army hotkey, one button. Terran, you can put all your buildings on a single key, like have all of your uh, barracks, armory on number four. I mean, it's way easier to play mechanically. So it's like 200 versus 200. Who can get there first? Oh, game's
mm,
over. But
mm,
anyway, the Koreans sort of just kind of like dominate that whole scene, I guess. But
mm.
out of curiosity, what race did you pick? Don't say
Oh,
Protoss.
mate.
Don't say Protoss.
Mate.
It's
Look.
Protoss. Next question.
Sorry.
Protoss.
The
Uh,
master race. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Master Race Terran. I don't know what you're talking about, but I mean,
I would have played Terran. That was my close second. Zerg can get fucked, but anyway.
agreed. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
So I mean, then why did you settle on? I mean, because there was Call of Duty, StarCraft, or how the hell did Quake come into there? Why did you ultimately settle on Quake? Actually,
Uh, that's a good question. I think it's probably like what I had the most success in, for sure. And I think it was something to like keep myself just engaged. I don't know. I just like enjoyed it the most when Quake Live was out. There was a lot of like international opportunities. For like if you were a pro COD player, you didn't really. I don't think many teams actually played internationally. But actually, there was a history of Australians from Quake like Python playing internationally. I was like, fuck, you know, that's
right?
exactly the path that I want to go down. So um, yeah, just started to keep playing that, and that was kind of where I just had the most success. So I think it's like you got to do what you're good at,
Sure.
and
So what
yeah,
year was that? Like 4 or 5 years ago, or I mean Quake Live, but I mean that was like a ten
mm,
year life cycle. So
right.
what year did you jump in?
I don't know exactly, but it was like when Quake Live came out, so like 2010
All right,
or
fair enough.
2011, something like this. Yeah, so I played for like a year and a half, and then tournament seemed to die off, and I think I was like just about to graduate high school to go to university. So it's
Hmm.
like, probably not gonna like. It's not really going anywhere. Um, and then I remember like I was actually doing like an overseas exchange, and yeah, and then the trailer for Quake Champions came out, and I was like, yep, fucking, I can see myself playing
So
this.
you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that's good shit. All right, so basically you got a solid, I don't know, 10 years overall, or I guess it's going into 11 now years in Quake as a whole. But I mean, there are guys, even Kilson and Rafa, they can have a game where it's just like, I mean, you can never always be truly perfect at Quake. And you mentioned that it was like the easiest for you to get into. So during your initial learning curve, then what was the hardest aspect of Quake to understand, to like wrap your head around? Because like with StarCraft, it's all the macro with keybinds, scouting. But I mean, Quake seems a bit more straightforward. So, uh, what was hard for
W-
you?
What's really, I think, why Quake really attracts a certain type of person is because it's always in the details and the subtleties. And like probably the hardest thing to understand with Quake is like, okay, there's damage, there's items, there's timing, whatever. But what's really the most confusing is like, okay, I'm gonna go into this room. He has this much stack. I have this weapon. He's in this position. I'm gonna in this position. Let's go. I should win. And then you lose, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, why? Why did it happen? And actually, it's because like, and this is why players like Kilson, Cypher, Avik, like, I've played these guys. Like, when I've played them, I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is different, but there's something different about this game. Like when I play them, and it's because like the way that they're using like the movement combined with the positions and the weapons, and a little bit to do with the stack, is so subtle
Hmm.
in certain adjustments that it's like I just can't kill this guy. I just like doesn't matter like you know okay you're gonna set yourself up, you're gonna think something's gonna happen, and then he's gonna do something that like he's just making the game as hard as possible for you. And like until you kind of like experience, that level of subtlety or adjustments, it's like it's hard to do it the first time. I don't think it's even possible to even do it the first time. You really had to have like seen it multiple times to know.
Well, I mean, as a side note, I have dual Kilson once on Awoken.
Mm,
I played Ranger and he played Anarchy, and he used
mm,
only the machine gun, and
mm.
he 20-0'd me in about 4 minutes.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, like it's sort of like like you want to go up to some guy and like arm wrestle him, and you know you're gonna lose, but you just want to feel what the raw power feels like. That's kind of what
Yeah.
it's like. Like I understand what you're saying. Like you go up against like obviously I'm like a 1300 LOL ELO player, so but I mean just the idea that he knows exactly where I am all the time on the map.
Mm,
He knows what weapons I have. He knows what my stack is, and because I'm a newer player, he'll know where I'm gonna go. So it's like
mm,
rail or I mean, machine gun, machine gun, machine gun, dead.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
so I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. So, but I was very curious to learn, like from your point of view, what the hardest aspect of it was in the beginning. Because after that, it's anything you want to pick: movement, aim, positioning, strategy. I mean, however you want to go. But like in the beginning, it just seems to be like you know um, now you mentioned CS:GO actually and StarCraft earlier.
mm,
Those are both highly competitive, like ridiculously highly competitive games. But how is
mm,
Quake different
mm,
competitively speaking? Like someone who doesn't know any better is gonna look at Quake and Counter Strike and go, "You both shoot guns." Well,
mm,
you know,
mm.
I mean, so maybe walk us through your opinion on that.
Uh, okay, so I mean, Counter Strike makes sense. It's a team game, 1v1 game. Like it just feels um, completely different, even if it's like something you're not really aware of. Like as soon as you have someone else that can take responsibility, like unconsciously, you
Uh huh.
just
Okay.
you just kind of lose it. Um, in StarCraft 2, like, and this is what's kind of interesting about yeah, StarCraft 2 and Quake is that Quake is a bit more snappy. And so what I mean by that is like the feedback is sometimes more obvious, where it's like, you get hit, you take damage, oh, you're dead. Whereas in StarCraft, it's like you can play 15 minutes
Oh,
and then and then get all in or just like or something you didn't scout,
yeah.
and it's
Build
like
order loss.
yeah. And you just it's a different type of mental game we're playing. Whereas Quake is really just like, the mental fortitude of like, okay, this is happening to me. All right, who gives a fuck? And it's actually like, you really have to develop this type of like, sometimes you're just not going to have a good start or a good flow to the start of the game. And you're just going to lose fucking 5 frags because he just like is moving so fast and you're just like a little bit shook. But it's funny because equally as good when you can just like do something unexpected, hit damage where he didn't think you could, and all of a sudden it's 5 frags now back in your favor.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, the
like that.
like the older map pool, like with the inclusion of Deep Embrace, that back and forth ping pong aspect is really coming back into Quake. Kind of like how it was in Quake 4 and even Quake Live to a degree, where it's like this now, like, oh, he got 3 frags off spawn. got railed off Mega, and then now you're on the back foot. You
Mm,
know, where
mhm.
he can just go around and you clip the wall, you didn't have enough speed, and you basically stop, and then you're screwed. You know what I mean? It's really interesting, and I really prefer playing Quake as well over StarCraft because, like what you said, you can legitimately play for 15 minutes and not know that he took 2 proxy bases on the other side of the map. You go and
Mm.
scout, you're like, "Oh, he's got nothing," and then a fleet of fucking, I don't know, I don't Protoss units come flying in, or
Yeah, yeah,
DT rushes.
yeah.
Good stuff.
That was the good shit.
4 gate to Masters, that was the meme back in Wings of Liberty.
Right, right.
Um So, ZenAku.
Yep.
ZenAku. How did you come up with that name actually? That and what is it? Does it have any like special meaning? Does it represent anything?
Uh, so I copied ZenAku from a my brother's friend. He had this name. He
Mm,
didn't even use this name, but like one day he just like used it, and I'm like, I'm a little shit. I just like copied it, and yeah, it kind of just stuck. And actually, it turns out this name is actually something that I really like grew to love because it means like in some aspects it means good and evil, in other aspects it means like physical nature and like the abyss, like nothingness. So it's like materialism and in theory. But yeah, it's I don't know, something that I just kind of grew to love over time, mainly because this like in good there is bad and in bad there is good, and I
okay.
think that's a good philosophy to like to live by. So
All right. So I mean, you said ZenAku, I said ZenAku, tomato, tomato, what is it? What just give it lay it to us straight. How do we say your
fuck,
fucking name?
uh, jeez, you know, I say what do I say? ZenAku or
Yes.
ZenAku? I
Yes.
think
No.
I say ZenAku.
Okay. It's
What the fuck
ZenAku.
do I say?
The you say ZenAku because
Okay,
your
okay,
older YouTube videos, it's ZenAku. All right,
okay.
that argument is closed forever now. It's ZenAku.
Gotcha, gotcha.
um, Zenek. So, people who are pretty quick on the uptake here may notice that you have an Australian accent, but you don't live in Australia. So, what was the major catalyst that made you decide? You know what? I need to move to Poland and
Mm,
I mean, maybe you can share a little bit of the thought process behind that.
mm. Uh, I wish I made these decisions earlier. I think everybody would say, in hindsight, they would have always loved to have like followed their dreams at a younger age or be doing things. But basically, like there was an opportunity to like qualify for QPL. I probably wouldn't have done it if QPL didn't exist. There's no way. Um, but yeah, there was an opportunity to qualify, and I said, oh, you know what, fuck it. Like I have some savings. It's what I want to do with my life. I really don't really like enjoy kind of, it's not my passion what I'm doing in Australia, just like working like a retail job. So
Hmm.
went and did that, and yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like I was extremely fortunate to qualify, like in the first, um, well, the first one that I tried for
Yeah.
there, but like super fortunate actually. Um, and yeah, so now it's kind of just changed my life, but it's for the best because I actually like, when I really think about it, I get to do what I love, and yeah, I can't really say many bad things about it, honestly. So
There's that. Yeah, I mean, G-Nick did you a solid on that one.
yeah.
It was a good match. He put up a good fight, but I mean, it was a good match. Now it's interesting because you are in Poland now, representing Australia. But as far as I know, there's like Quake scene in Australia is like, meh. I mean, what do you think would have to happen for Quake to have be reborn again in Australia? Is it are people in Australia just not interested, or is there something that just needs to happen on both sides? I don't know. Maybe 'cause, I
Mm,
mean, you trained in Australia for 3 years, yeah, 3 or 4 years, Quake Champions. I remember
mm,
watching you on stream, and then
mm.
one day you're in Poland. So, I mean, what do you think would have to happen for Quake to, you know, basically be
To go
reborn
there.
again? Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I've got. I think there's two main things about it, and firstly, the obvious one is money. I think that the only reason why, I mean, one of the reasons why Counter Strike and League of Legends is so big is because there's this like, you know, these companies are smart. Like they will just like put this. They will glorify these positions. They'll say, oh, if you're this player, if you're a pro player, you'll make, you'll be salaried, you make money, you get to pay, you get to make money uh, playing the game you love.
Right.
And I think that like Quake just doesn't hasn't filtered because simply like, well, they top 20 players. It's very limited. Even for myself, I had to like go to another country just to even fucking qualify.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
true.
gateway is quite high. Um, and the second thing is that like the one of the big things is like, why esports is not that big in Australia unless you're playing like Starcraft, where there is an opportunity to compete on a good level against Koreans and stuff, is that you have to be able to put your skills to the world's best, because anybody you can say, oh yeah, I'm the best in Australia, and like that, that's still pretty good, but I think nobody will still take credit to what you say until they know that you rely. How do you go against the world's best? And that's when your information, that's when your value really starts to. Well, people, in an egotistical way, they really want to see themselves do really well, but also just like as a sense of, well, how do I really compare? And when you already know there's something higher, there's something more. I don't think you don't stop. You don't just say I'm the best in Australia. Okay, that's where I finish here. I think if you're really passionate, you know you want to just keep going higher and higher, and then you'll find a limit. Maybe you do stop, or um, but yeah, it's those two things. It's money, and it's like, am I able to show my skills, to the highest degree that everybody can believe that this is where it is. This is where the skill is at.
Okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say internet, but I'm happy to hear that that's not the answer. But anyway, so yeah, Poland, and then it's been a year, maybe a little bit over a year that you've been in Poland,
Mm,
like a
mm,
year and a couple months. I don't remember the exact time, but you've been
mm,
training there now. You've been playing against the world's best, all of the above. And I think you're like ranked number 3 in the world right now in Quake on the leaderboards. Anyway, but
mm,
what would you say were some of the biggest surprises in terms
mm.
of how you improved at the game? Like if you were able to look back and go, "Oh, damn, what was really unexpected for you
Uh,
during this year?"
uh, I think the biggest thing that was unexpected is actually, well, if I can name it two things, I don't know. I mean, firstly, the level of professionalism that some players take it to. I think that I really went in with a naive attitude of like, yeah, I'm just gonna play games and everything's gonna be cool. I'm gonna be the best. And actually, it's like, no, no, you little shit. You need to do an X plethora of other things to even remotely get close.
What are
Um,
some of those other things if you can divulge?
yeah, yeah. Firstly, it's like, well, is your mechanical skill even up to par? Do you do enough VOD review? Do you like Well, actually, it's really just three things. It's mechanical skill, is VOD review, and like, are you able to, I don't know, understand the niches of the game to the extent that they're just bullying you? How are you going to bully them? And like,
Right.
you know, you rely, when you play in your small communities, you'll rely on like your little tendencies, like, oh, I'll just rail the shit out of this guy. And then all of a sudden you verse somebody who's just equally as good at railing. It's like, well, I'm fucked.
Sure.
And so you really have to have like an answer for everything, to get to that next level like that.
So I mean, what I'm hearing basically is you go into Poland, you thought one thing, and you found out it's quite another. Of
Yeah.
what it will take to, like take maps off Rafa. I mean, which you have in duels that you have. So I mean, it's not unheard of. But I mean, yeah, I would that's pretty incredible. And any pro player, um, I've heard Rafa say this, Kilson, I've heard Dehang. Y- Dehang gave you major props in the finals of how much you've improved.
Mm,
So I mean, yeah, the proof is there. When you take it seriously. Um,
mm.
so on that, I mean, what is a piece of advice that you could offer not to new Quake players. I mean, but a Quake player who's like 2000 ELO, like starts to go, you know what? I think I want to take the jump. What's a
Mm,
piece of advice that you could offer them that you wish you had known sooner?
mm. I think that I mean, I think the biggest thing is like that I've noticed recently is, when you get to like the very highest level, it's like just it's funny how you have all these rules and boundaries say, okay, if this player has this much stack, if X conditions, the frag difference, the time limit remaining, what should I do? It's not really about that. It's actually more about like your understanding of what your opponent's capable of, and like fuck, don't worry about like, oh, what's a good decision, what's a bad decision. Is how are you going to make this game? How are you going to win this fucking game? And really, it comes down to like, just this intuition of like, okay. I mean, I even just had like a practice game today where I felt like I would never have done this before, where it's like, um, you know, there's a there's a set play I should do to kind of like come back in this game, but the play that I ended up doing was like just did as much damage as possible in this one moment, and then I just delayed him enough to get to this other spot to then get the item. And it's like nothing about what I did was actually correct in some ways. It was more like this intuition that this guy is going to move in this particular way, and I can just do enough that's going to give me this, and I'm back in the game.
Right.
And it's like you have to really find that for yourself, and you can do that by understanding what you're strong at. Am I really good at LG? Am I really good at movement, or something like this, that you can create these advantages? Yeah,
So I mean, it's basically saying, not just like get good, bro, but I mean, it sounds like you just were being proactive at the moment, analyzing everything happening at the same time, and then just tried something.
I think it's really just like I said. It's about developing. Like if you're a 2000 elo and you really want to see what's next, I think it's about like developing this intuition. It's developing like that. Like I said, it's understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are, and what your strengths and weaknesses are of your opponent. You're not really going to be able to think about it during the game, but you're just going to be able to get a feeling for like, oh, just naturally, just kind of do whatever comes to mind there. And yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. You just got to kind of go for the feeling that it's going to work or not. And sometimes I'll be honest, like there probably will be moments where you just feel like you actually can't do anything. And the best thing you can do there is like just do as much as you can, because there are some times where players that are so exceptionally much better than you in every aspect that there is no option. Or like,
Right.
your option in the game is like 10%, because there's one moment that if you capitalize or you don't, and more often than not, the player with more opportunity is gonna win the game over time. So
That makes sense. So I
mm,
mean, so to piggyback off of that, okay, now let's say we have a guy sub 1000 ELO.
mm,
An actual piece of advice that you could give him that is not get good, bro. I mean, something actionable, right? Because what I've found learning Quake and any game in general is like, oh, I need to get better. It's so general. There's no
mm,
specificity to it. So,
mm,
for example, a guy who wants to get to 1000 ELO for the first time in duels,
mm,
what would you have him? What would you say to concentrate
mm.
on?
I think, especially if we're talking about Quake Champions. I mean, if you're playing a different Quake, it might be a different idea, but at least for QC, I think it's just about like just being careful with the damage, because I've seen like between this like ELO range, sometimes it's really about like players just not really worrying about the items so much, not really worrying about like the weapons, but it's like they just because the fights are so awkward and nothing, there is no like
There is no
there's
strategy here, Dave. It's Wood League.
it's just whatever, right? I
Like,
think it's more about you just have to be careful with the damage, and especially like I would stay away from the LG. I would just use like all the high impact damage, which is like mainly just rockets. You can try use rail if you think you can do it, but just don't do a close range. And because most of the time, no one's going to be good enough with the LG to really know like what to do with it.
okay.
Um, So I'd say just like rockets and don't get so close. Just like let them come to
All
you,
right.
and maybe it kind of work out.
So yeah, that makes so as what I'm hearing you basically be wary of the damage. It means like don't run head on into the guy.
Mm,
Look for opportunities to shoot some rockets off, do some damage, and then
mm,
be hard to kill, I guess.
mm.
So you've already had, like I said, the match with Genic was already pretty memorable. You've had a couple of memorable QPL stage finals, like Mortal Kombat. You remember that? You
Oh yeah, that was a good
That
one
was
too.
good. Yeah. Anything else that particularly stands out to you, or you don't really track it or pay attention?
Uh, I only remember one I can remember straight away because I like love this moment so much. Is like it was Keel versus Slash on Molten. It was map 2 against Maxter. There's like 20 or 15 seconds left, and he just gets like a pretty clean kill, has all the weapons, and I spawn at the rockets. And
Hmm,
yeah, and pretty much what happens is like he goes through like TP at Tribal, and he uses Plasma Trail, so it's like I can't chase him.
right.
So I rocket jump up, he jumps down, goes for the TP again, and I follow him. And this is like it's like I don't know, hot pursuit with cars or some shit, like police like chasing the criminal because I barely kill him with the starting machine gun. And fair enough, actually has a little bit to do with the pings, like the pings, like because of the damage I was doing, it was screwing up his movement, so it actually made me a little bit like easier to hit him. But yeah, I like barely killed him there and managed to win that map.
Was that the one
And it
where
was
he passed LG, went down the stairs, and just curved the corner, and you got the last? That's
yeah,
that
yeah,
frag, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was pretty incredible.
There was like 2 seconds
Yeah,
left or some shit like that. It's just
literally
fucking
to the
crazy.
wire, and that was the
Yeah,
one
yeah,
actually you knocked Maxter out. So he was challenger at that time. So he had to go through
mm,
another set of stages before he could get into QPL. So
yeah,
you're like the
yeah,
gatekeeper. Sib, get out of here.
yeah.
Twice in a row,
But
by the way.
to be fair, like I'm a little bit worried now because well, okay, I beat Maxter twice,
No,
and then he beat
no,
me
no.
the
It was
third.
G-Nick, Maxter, and then Sib twice, I believe. I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I mean, I
sorry,
don't know. I'm pretty untrustworthy, so you might not want to.
don't you? Let's not go there. Uh, no, sorry. Maxter, like I beat Maxter twice. He beat me the last time we played, so I'm hoping to at least beat him this next
Sure.
time we play.
Yeah, but
So
see,
yeah,
now the matches have more dynamics because it's in the stage finals. It's not like for your Quake life, So I
yeah,
mean, it's not as big. Um.
yeah.
So I mean, okay. Talking more about like that. So which would you say matchup do you hate playing the most? And I know this is a difficult answer because it could depend on also the map. But I mean, in general, what two champions are you like, oh, fuck me? Or like you
Mm.
try to avoid at all costs?
I think it's an easy one. It's tank versus tank
Oh, that makes
because like
sense. Yeah.
because it's very like firstly you're both kind of slow. You're both taking massive fucking damage, and then like if you're not how do I say, if you're not like, especially on some maps, if you're not just like nailing the damage exactly, like if you're both using the rocket launcher and you know you should kill him, but your rocket misses and his rocket hits you, you die. And it's like it's like a battle that should end in like 2 seconds, and it takes like three and a half,
Yep.
4. It sounds like a long time, but it's like, and then you end up fucking up something up, and he ends up having like massive control because he has the weapons, he has position. It's just
And
like
then Keel takes heavy armor, and you're like, oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah.
so
That
yeah,
totally
it's
makes
super fun.
sense. So tank versus tank, pretty much on any map. I guess. What would you feel about like if you're playing a light versus tank?
Um, also can be kind of tough. Again, it's kind of map dependent. Smaller maps a bit easier for tanks in some ways, but actually, it's funny because I think this is where I've made my adjustment lately, which is um, you know, tanks. Sorry, lights versus tanks. You know, with the tank, you're kind of just like that guy that's like just being tangoed around the map. You're
Sure.
just like taking damage, and it's like, you gonna kill this guy or not? And yeah, I think like light versus heavy. Sorry, I forgot what the question was, but
Playing
that
as a
matchup.
light champion versus a tank.
Oh,
Yeah, if it sucks or not.
I think it's better for the light, but on smaller maps, it is what's beautiful about Quake is that you can have the same matchup on one map be really favored for one champion, and then on another map it's
Sure.
like favored for another two.
Except if you play
Uh,
Doom, who is favored on every fucking map because of his
that's
double
right.
jump, which needs to be looked at.
Well, actually, if you want to quickly mention about that, like actually there is good basis to have some champions that are just good at everything, because otherwise what happens is like the map beater becomes even harder in some sense because you can just like, oh, I'm just gonna pick I don't know, I'm gonna pick Galena on Molten or something, or and then somebody plays Slash. That you first pick Galena, someone picks Slash. Okay, you're never. It's hard to win this fucking map. But if you
Oh,
pick some,
okay.
if you pick a champion that's like good against everything, but it's like still kind of weak against some things, then you can kind of feel like, well, okay, it's good for it to be a little bit broken because it means that when I'm in this map beta, I'm not just gonna get counterpicked.
Yeah, I mean, Doom is absolutely weak to LG. That is on the preposition that you have good LG.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, so I
mm.
mean, uh, but his ability definitely is shaky.
Yeah.
I call it the 12-meter Falcon punch because he can hit you he can hit you from 12 meters away or through walls. It's just one of
Right,
those
right.
weird things that doesn't make any sense. So let's see. FortyLions has made a name for himself recently because he performed what's known as a shoey live on
Gotcha.
stream when you slapped Sib around for the second time. Good job. Good
Mm,
job.
thank you.
Um, I heard you talking about a ringy.
Gotcha.
So what is that? And first of all, what's a shoey? First of all, let's do that. What is a shoey?
Oh god. Some I'm all right.
Just
Well,
give it to us straight. What's a shoey?
the, the Shuri is I mean, I have to make sure if my definitions are correct, but it's pretty much the thing is I think there's a couple of conditions like the shoe has to be used. You have to have been like, wearing the shoe, like it's usually at events and stuff like this. And I mean, the rules are simple. You take your shoe off, you get a beer of any type, maybe, preferably a shit one because it's not going to be a good experience anyway. And yeah, pour the beer into the shoe and just to make sure you finish it.
Oh, okay. So you
Um,
gotta
yeah,
it's basically like it's a beer chug. All right.
yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
shoey. All right.
Mm.
So if you guys don't know, 40 had gone on record on his Twitter publicly saying that if ZenAku had won his relegation match against Sib, that he would do a shoey. Now, none of us expected that he would actually do it immediately on air. So that was really cool, actually. And then after
Mm.
that, Davey did a shoey on his Twitter uh, because he says no man shoeys alone. But now we got
Mm.
this thing called a ringy,
My God.
and I'm scared. So I already assume it has something to do with consuming alcohol in a non-orthodox fashion. So
Ungodly.
what is a ringy, and what are the
Mm.
conditions for said ringy?
For ringy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I think this is gonna be pretty exceptional. I would have to have like won a QuakeCon or some bullshit like this first, but I'll find some room for it. But pretty much what a ringy is well, again, it's a used piece of equipment. This time it's your underwear.
Oh god.
And and you basically well, not in front of everyone, you take your underwear off and you saturate the underwear with the beer.
Saturate. Nice. Nice.
And after when it's been, when it's doused in the beer, you wring out the underwear and you drink the beer and hope you make it out alive the next day. Well, there's a couple things happening here.
How
You got
the
to make sure you got
hell
clean
did
clothes.
what Australian looked around and went, you know what? This is a good idea.
uh, I think it's the culture is just so toxic that it's just, or maybe actually it's just so fun that they're willing to risk their
Listen,
lives
I mean,
and do shit
Americans are
like
pretty
this.
much the same. We just have our own bullshit things. But I mean, a
Right, right,
ringy
right.
is pretty original, actually.
Yeah.
Have to be honest with you.
I mean, I just hope it doesn't get topped. I don't know how you can top it.
I guess pouring it down your backside or
And
someone
just
else's
drinking it.
backside, because I guess you would have to consume it somehow.
Right.
it would.
All we know is that alcohol is involved, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So how about this? The first time you 3-0 someone in the stages, you got to do a ringy. Good. It's
No,
settled.
no,
It
fuck it.
is
Ha-
settled.
has to be a top 4 at a stage finals.
Top 5
You son of a bitch.
in stages. So this 12 weeks, you finished top.
Fuck off. That's actually manageable.
Yeah. I. It's in my best interest to get a ringy out of you.
Shit. Uh,
You must
I'll do it at
commit.
a
You must commit.
stage finals top 4. I'm willing to lock it in.
No, no. Top top 5. Top 5 during the stage matches. Cool. It's on the video, guys. You guys leave a comment to make sure that he keeps his word. All right.
Shit.
All right. So wrapping it up here. I know you've been working on a website, and you're gonna be doing some Quake coaching soon. Could you give us a bit more detail about that? Because I'm interested.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it'll be ZenAkuQuake.com, and pretty much essentially just going to be taking on some people, and we're just going to go through the game. Like I think I've got a pretty good understanding of well, the whole game so far, but more about like understanding how you're interpreting the game and how are we going to get it to where where you want it to go. Um, and I think that's kind of like where I'm taking, yeah, the coaching so far. And it's also going to be a nice way to kind of like see, where I put other content. Like you get to see all my QPL matches on there. So
Oh, cool. So it's gonna be like your online business card. Are you gonna
yeah,
come up with any merchandise?
I'm glad.
Maybe
That's
something to do a ringy from.
actually that's not so bad. I'm still working on that, but I think it'd be something to do if more people are interested, and also if it's kind of actually cool to wear, if it's just like a shirt with a logo on it. I don't know. It's not something I'm so invested in, but if it's like something actually pretty nice, I think I feel pretty good about it. So
All right. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah, definitely. Dave has already actually helped me with a couple things. It's pretty cool how he does it. Actually, like you guys get in a custom match, and then he spectates you, and then basically looks at how you're moving, and then gives you immediate feedback of what you can improve. It was actually really nice because, like, one of the things that I learned was, like with the movement keys, um, like strafe jumping's not a problem for me, but controlling it, knowing when to take my finger off of forward to decelerate just a little tiny bit to make a corner, stuff like
mm,
that. Where Dave was really Dave ZenAku, sorry, was really helpful in helping me understand how to control my character better.
mm,
So yeah, it was definitely really good investment and has already improved my game significantly. Just that one little small change that you helped me with. So
mm.
definitely recommend. We'll buy more. We'll do it. We'll do again. Okay.
Excellent, excellent,
So I think we're gonna wrap it up here, man. Thanks a
cool.
lot for being the inaugural player spotlight. It's been a hell of a joy to watch you all these years actually start in Australia and then work your way into QPL and kind of struggle bus it. But I mean, and so publicly struggle bus it, and kind of stick to your guns and not give up. I think it's pretty admirable. So I have a lot of respect for you, and I know you're gaining the respect of the community because everywhere you go now, there's comments about you doing a good job, taking maps off Rappa, really kicking it up during the finals, and FortyLions, huge fan. I mean, everyone seems to be in your corner. So keep on
Yeah.
going, keep on going. So how can we follow you? I know you got a Twitter, Twitch, website. Can you I'll put
Plug it.
yeah, plug it. I'll put links to all this in the description below. But
Sure.
maybe you got a streaming schedule, or what do you actually do when you stream, stuff like that.
So, well, it's pretty easy for like Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. It's all ZenAku Quake. Um,
Simple.
yeah, nice and easy. And yeah, I'll just like post like I don't like to try and post much bullshit. I just post like exactly that if you followed me, exactly what you'd expect to see, like Quake content. And especially when you watch me stream, there's a lot of content about, well, firstly, high level matches, and I always like to say what I'm thinking, and probably better yet, you get to see uh, my reaction and I think a lot of people are usually like surprised by, you know, you, you have to really be cold. You know, it's like when you win, you don't expect much. When you lose, you don't expect much. I think it's like,
It's true actually. He took a map off Rappa and he was like, all right,
it's whatever.
got lucky.
No,
Should have done better. Fuck,
easily.
fuck that shot a little bit. Whatever.
I mean, you have the thing is, I'm always deep like turn off the stream. I'm always happy about it, but there's
Turns
always
off the
things.
stream and does the ringy. I get it now.
You know my secret. I just like to say that everyone who's like supported me this whole time, like maybe I don't say it as much as I should, but fucking love you guys, and I really appreciate it so much that I get to do what I get to do because everybody supports me the way that you guys do. So I don't know, I can't say it enough, and I just hope to give it back, you know, over time. And yeah, I thank you so much. You know,
Awesome, man. That's sweet. That's pretty badass. All right, so that's going to do it with the interview with ZenAku. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about. And most importantly, please leave a like, subscribe, and in the comments below, tell me who you would like to see me interview next, and I will try to make it happen. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.